There is not a cloud in the sky over the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Welcome everyone to Nationwide Series final practice here on what's turning out to be a beautiful day. We are located inside this neon garage area, one of the coolest places in NASCAR to sit around and wait to see the action on the track. Not to mention cool action on the racetrack here all weekend long. Here's a bit of advice for the NASCAR fan anywhere in the Southwest United States. Jump in your car and come see us here because it's going to be an absolutely beautiful weekend. And we got you covered all weekend long on speed as well. Let's take a look at the menu, see what is still to come today. And there is a lot of action on the racetrack and on speed. Nationwide Series final practice in a matter of moments. Sprint Cup Series practice at 3, NASCAR Live at 4:30. And then the day, remembering Dale Earnhardt at 5 o'clock Eastern time. And then hits just keep on coming. NASCAR Live at 6 Eastern. Sprint Cup Series qualifying at 6:30. Trackside features Kurt Busch and Handsome Harry Gant, and Speed Center at 9:30 Eastern time. And contrary to popular rumor, this is not a Larry McReynolds look-alike. This is the real Larry McReynolds. We have some fake Elvises running around down there, some real showgirls. But Larry, this is the real thing. Final practice for these guys. It's time to get busy.
Well, it is, you know, and what you have to think about, remember, all the Nationwide Series races are impound races. So these guys, they're going to have to qualify in the morning. They're going to have to do it pretty much with their race setup. And as I said earlier, you know, you go back to Daytona, that place had so much grip. Everybody's car drove well. Nobody had handling issues, even at the speeds we were running there. You go back to Phoenix last week, yeah, it's a fast 1-mile racetrack, but it's more about mechanical grip. But we heard Justin Allgaier say earlier, you're driving off in the corner here well over 190 miles an hour. And you're going through bumps, and the wind's blowing you around, and the track doesn't have a lot of grip. This is the first real challenge for these guys, I think, in 2011 as far as the season and the tracks we go to.
Well, Larry, let's take a look at the top 10 in points right now for the Nationwide Series. You know, I see a little bit different look to this than you're used to. This year, we will have a true Nationwide Series champion, but you will still see the stars of NASCAR compete on a weekly basis. They just won't be running for points. Reed Sorensen is now on top of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. by a mere 5 points.
Yeah, and Reed Sorensen has started the season off with 2 top 5 finishes. That's the reason he's there. Remember, they have the same point system that pretty much the Sprint Cup Series has. Of course, Danica Patrick, see her tied for 4th. Remember, she's not running the whole schedule. But the one guy that catches my eye, our old buddy Kenny Wallace in the 09 car sitting there at night. What a great run he had at Phoenix. I think we all knew if Kenny could just get hooked up with the right situation, that he could be competitive and be right up there in the points as well.
Kenny's always happy, no matter what's happening. When he's running real well in his Nationwide car, he is absolutely elated with joy. Let's go down to Randy.
Hey, thanks, you guys. Larry, you talked about hauling the mail off into the turn 1 at over 190 miles an hour. How'd you like to do that and never have been at this racetrack before? The guy standing to my left, Ryan Truex, that's your case as far as the Nationwide Series goes. What's it feel like to come here and do a $190 getting into turn 1 and only your 2nd race this year?
It's a little crazy, I'll be honest with you. I mean, I've never been to tracks like this, and it's wild to just drive in there and never take your foot off the floor, basically. And hopefully it sticks, you know. You just go in there and hope, oh God, I hope it sticks, and I hope I don't spin out or slide up the track or anything. But our Toyota's a little off right now, and we're doing a lot of work here to try to fix that. I think we've changed pretty much everything under the sun. We just can't get the thing to turn good enough, but we're working on it and, you know, making great strides and having a lot of fun out here, so it's always good.
What about you as a driver, considering you haven't been to a place really at this kind of speed getting into turn 1? What can you do? I mean, you hear different people say about backing up a corner, dragging the brake, doing things like that. Can you learn every time you're on the racetrack to get better to help these guys?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, every time I go out there, I hope that I'm behind somebody like Brad Keselowski or somebody that knows how to get around here that I can follow, and I just figure out the line and figure out what they're doing. And obviously, I have a brother that knows how to do this pretty well, so I can just ask him a few things, and he's been a good help so far. And I just go out there every time, learn as much as I can, and just try to get this car driving as good as I can so we can be good on Saturday.
All right, have a great weekend, Ryan. Of course, his brother, Martin Truex, who drives for Michael Waltrip Racing. Hey, another thing, this guy 2 weeks away from turning 19 years old. 190 getting into turn 1. Wow.
And that just sounds so young. Once again, we keep talking about these young drivers out here. But let's take a look at some of the seasoned veterans who have won here over the last 5 years. And Larry McReynolds, these have been the stars of the Sprint Cup Series. It's Harvick last year. Biffle, Mark Martin, of course, he's has so many wins in this series. Jeff Burton and Casey Kane. What is it about this track? Is it the pure speed that lends it towards these Cup guys winning these races?
Well, I think it's just the experience. And as you looked at that list right there, we know that 2 of them will be competing in this race, Kevin Harvick and Mark Martin. But I do believe this weekend, possibly with only 9 guys that I can count doing the double duty, this could be the race weekend here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway that breaks that streak. When I look at like Ricky Stenhouse Jr., who has been fast in the practices yesterday, already this morning, we know he ran well on the 1.5-mile tracks last year. This could be the weekend that we see truly a Nationwide Series regular go to victory lane.
All right, it's always good to see a new face, fresh face in victory lane, especially here in Vegas. Got to take a quick break. You know, that's the first time I've seen Kenny not laughing in about like 2 weeks. He's being serious. That's strange. We'll be back to the Neon Garage in a moment. Wednesday, don't miss the most talked about new car building show on TV, Car Warriors. Now, Larry Mack, I know you've repaired a car in less than 72 hours. Ever built one in less than 72 hours?
Even with the help of a lot of friends, I never even came close to doing that. Those guys they are tenacious about what they're doing on that show.
And they get mad at each other, too. That's what I like.
They get hurt, they're bleeding, they just bandage themselves up and just keep digging.
Real reality TV, and that's reality there too, as we have a couple getting married here in the Neon Garage, and if they need to, they can just run over there and get divorced real quick. Isn't that what you do in Vegas?
Can't think of a better place to spend your honeymoon in the Neon Garage at Las Vegas Motor Speedway.
Exactly, or with Larry Mack. That's even a better way. All right, let's take a look at some highlights from earlier in the day in the Nationwide Series. Who was fast so far? And you know, we were just talking about this gentleman a while ago as he zeroes in on some of Mark Martin's Nationwide Series records, and Kyle is 3rd fastest in practice. Larry, no surprise.
Well, and what NASCAR's been doing at a lot of these racetracks where we're running this new car for the first time, they had a full day of practice yesterday, and Kyle ran a tremendous amount of laps and was pretty fast in both of those sessions.
Ricky Stenhouse Jr., perhaps one of the breakthrough drivers this year. We could see him in a victory lane near you sometime this season.
Well, and again, all of the Roush Fenway Fords seem to be fast. Carl Edwards, Ricky Stenhouse, and Trevor Bayne all up in the top 10 in all the practices so far.
You mentioned Carl Edwards, and he finds himself on top of the speed chart after this first practice session. Now we're getting into happy hour, which is sometimes neither happy nor an hour, but nonetheless, Carl's looking pretty good. And like you said, Larry, the fastest guys are going to go out last in qualifying because of a new procedure. So these guys may have the last draw, and in this case, under this weather condition, that might not be the best place to qualify.
And there you see Mark Martin. We've talked about him, won here in 2008. 4th quickest driver for Turner Motorsports. Brian Scott in a Toyota. Talked about Trevor Bayne and Denny Hamlin in the Joe Gibbs car that normally Joey Logano drives, a 20 car right up there in the top 10.
Well, Kyle Busch came so close last weekend to doing it for a second time, what no other driver has even done once, and that's winning all 3 of NASCAR's top series in one weekend. And Randy standing by with the guy that just missed it by 1 spot. Randy?
He did. It was a heck of a performance all last weekend. But as we switch to Las Vegas, would you believe it if I told you that he has only 1 top 10 finish here at this racetrack and 7 starts? And I know he's going to turn that around here this weekend. You always did it by running up front, but it just didn't work out for you here.
Yeah, it's been tough. We've had a lot of bad luck here, if you'd like to say. Remember, I got the lead on a restart one time and got declared of jumping the restart, had to go back and sped on pit road another time, and wrecked here 3 years ago on like the 4th lap, blew a tire. Last year knocked the wall down on the last run, running 2nd. So it just hasn't quite gone our way in the Nationwide Series here. Trying so hard, probably just keep screwing myself up. But all in all, the Z-Line Designs Camry here this weekend's been really, really good. Can't thank the guys enough. Jason and all the boys have done a real nice job. And you know, we'll see how it plays out here this weekend on Saturday.
Now, how eventful of a weekend. You almost got the sweep last weekend. Of course, the Truck Series, the Nationwide Series, but that Cup thing. What happened there on the backstretch between when Ryan Newman kind of gave you a little bit of shot, and then were you really loose, or did you just get kind of frustrated and hang a little bit too much of a left and not realize Carl was there, or what?
No, I got loose. I was loose all the way up off the corner. That's why those guys were passing me so fast. And then once I got to the straightaway, I went back to the gas and it spun the tires again. And instead of correcting to the right and tail slapping the fence and then slapping the front against the wall, I just turned left and tried to get a straight shot to the dog leg, and Carl was right there. I never even looked in my mirror, didn't even know anybody was there yet. So I hate it for those guys. You know, we talked, and so things have been going well here this weekend. Hopefully we can just turn it around here in the Nationwide Series and have a good run on the Cup side too with our Snickers Peanut Butter Squared.
Hey, you got the old man a little nervous. He's brushed off the shoes for the Nationwide Series. Mark jumping back in, trying to hold you off a little bit. Have you talked to him about it at all? You're going to try and beat him, I suppose.
Oh, yeah, you always try to beat him. I got one closer last week. Hopefully this week we can get another closer. He's been faster, too, so we'll see how it goes. You know, I don't know if he's really nervous about it, but, you know, records are always made to be broken, right?
Yeah, I think he's pretty comfortable with his stuff. Right. Okay, have a good weekend here, Kyle. Back to you guys.
Randy, thanks a lot. Now let's take a look at some of the numbers that separate Mark Martin and Kyle Busch. And there's not much separation there, Larry Mack, especially when it comes to the win column, 48-44. And the way Kyle's getting it done this year, that might go down quickly.
No, I think it's inevitable that he will probably surpass Mark in all those categories, and probably more so right here in 2011 that will happen.
And look at the laps led in the Nationwide Series for Kyle Busch, 9,600 laps. Absolutely amazing what the guy is doing. He just recently tied Jeff Gordon on the all-time list of NASCAR victories.
And we love watching him race here. This is where we gave him the name Wild Thing, because he'll run 3 wide here totally by himself.
We like the word wild when it comes to Las Vegas, and it happens here a lot. That's one of your more tamer ceremonies you're going to see here this weekend. The action on the track is about to heat up, so let's send it up top at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway and throw it to our good friend Mike Joy.
Thanks, JR. Welcome back, everybody. It's time for NASCAR Nationwide Series final practice. It's gotten a little warmer. It's gotten a whole lot windier than when we were with you for the first hour and 15 minutes of practice with Hermie Sadler and Jeff Hammond. And we just took a walk down the roof, visit a couple of spotters, and make a stop down there. And it was sharply uphill coming back in that breeze. What's that going to do to race cars?
It's really, again, it's going to play with your mind, because you're going to think, okay, when I get ready to turn off in the corner, the lap before it did this, you hit a gust, and all of a sudden it's going to try to push the nose up or to kick the back end out, and the driver's going to be saying, what did you do to my race car? Nothing. All of a sudden it's going to be Mother Nature doing it to your race car. But again, it's going to be a big challenge for the drivers. And Hermie, you know for a fact, sometimes you have to work through that mentally and be anticipating that car getting moved around by the wind.
Yeah, and I think this is really when experience comes into play, is to know when to make changes to your driving or to the car, and not that be because of the wind, but you got to understand those variables and put all that into play when you're trying to figure out what we need to do to get our car faster. And this is going to be a very interesting session. We saw some guys working on their car and some teams scuffing tires getting ready for this practice, so it should be interesting to see what happens.
And the good thing about when we talk about final practice, Mike, you've got to try to factor in the fact, will this wind be here tomorrow when they drop the green flag on this race, and how it will affect you. Again, like what Hermie's saying, you make the wrong adjustment now, it could hurt you tomorrow during the race.
Well, let's find out where the rubber meets the road and go down to two of the hottest stars in Vegas.
Well, that wouldn't be us, but it's Dick Berger with Brad Keselowski. And I've been walking around in the garage, Mike, and asking people how their cars have been behaving. And I haven't found one person that's happy with their car, including last year's series champion. What's going on?
Well, this track is just really, really rough. And when you have cars with splitters on rough tracks, they dig in the racetrack, and cause all kinds of problems.
Well, you had to change the splitter in your car. What are you going to try to do in this last practice session?
Well, we're going to try and get some balance in it, but we're quite a ways off, and we're fighting more than just a balance issue from what we can tell. What's happened here is we had a great COT program, our new nationwide car program, with our Dodge Challengers last year in the 4 races we had. But towards the end of the year last year on the Cup side, and this is something detailed for the fans out there to watch, and you can watch it on TV, the compliant splitter kind of took over and revolutionized the sport on the Cup side at the end of the year. Well, when that happened, we didn't run any more nationwide races. And the Cup side created a rule against the compliant splitter with all these new bumper bars so that nobody could run on the Cup side. But the nationwide package didn't update with the Cup package. So what we're seeing is all the nationwide teams, the really good, fast teams here, have updated their program with this really compliant splitter. And if you watch for it on TV, what you can see is that the splitters they're essentially flexing up and down on the racetrack. And when they do that, the cars are able to run lower and they have a whole lot more grip and speed. Here at Penske Racing, we kind of stuck with the rules program as they were intended, and so we had a really fast COT program with the set of rules that was at in play last year, and we didn't update to how they're interpreted this year, and so we're behind. So we've got a lot of work to do, and certainly I'm hoping that the rules package for the Cup side will just be implemented on the nationwide side, and our whole team won't have to cut up our cars. So, but that's what you should be watching for on TV, and that's where we're off with our Discount Tire Dodge Challenger.
Okay, thank you very much. To Bob Dillner.
Well, Doc, on the opposite side of the spectrum, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. standing tall here in Vegas. Yesterday very quick, today second quick in the practice session, but you're in plain clothes. How come?
We decided that our Easy Feet Ford Mustang is pretty good here today. We made a few adjustments there when we unloaded this morning, and it seemed to be pretty good over the whole run. I think we ran our fastest lap on our 29th lap. So I feel like we got a really, really good Mustang, and just glad to get underway here at Vegas. We're off to a strong start, and we want to keep that going here.
All right, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. very quick. He's done. Not going to practice this session, guys.
Wow. Now, Mark Martin said he was only going to make one run in this session, and this is it. And that car was loosey then goosey down there in the middle of the corner.
But he hung on to her, Mike, and that's the thing about Mark. And he's already said, I got a pretty good eye where it's at. I'm not 100% happy with it, but I'm ready to go racing and let the racing kind of dictate what I need to do and how I need to drive. And going fast, I mean, that might not be Mark's really forte, but at the same time, he normally knows how to put down a pretty quick lap, and that's not a bad lap right there at 30:29.
Listening to Brad Keselowski talk, sounded like he was maybe talking to some people in the trucks in the infield. What do you think, Jeff?
Kind of like cut to the chase. What he was
lobbying?
trying to say is he's letting the guys at NASCAR know, hey, there's something going on out here that's not exactly what we consider fair to everybody. And I understand what he's saying is that the front of these cars are maybe flexing a little bit. The splitter, and when it's put in the right place and made to stay there, it can affect the way these race cars drive, and that's what his problem is. His car is not giving. The front splitter is upsetting the balance of his car, and some other guys he feels like getting by with it. And he's pretty much letting NASCAR know that I'm not too sure that's exactly what you had intended. Without calling anybody's names.
No.
Watch it on TV. Watch it on Speed is what he's saying.
Now,
we appreciate the look.
Yeah. Another thing to keep an eye out as we watch Danica Patrick in the first session. She ran a 31:03, and right now 31:22 is her best lap. When they line up to qualify tomorrow morning, NASCAR has clarified this part of the rule for us for both the Nationwide Series and the Sprint Cup Series. Your qualifying order is determined first by whether or not you are in the top 35 or top 30, whether or not you're exempted.
Right.
The exempted cars, those that are guaranteed into the show, go first. Your qualifying position is determined by the fastest lap you turn at any time in pre-qualifying official practice. So for this series, that means the 2 Friday practice sessions, because Thursday was an unofficial test, not official practice. So that'll determine qualifying order.
Danica Patrick, she picks up just a little bit on that second lap, Mike. She's now third quickest at a 31:05.
Speed's presentation of NASCAR Nationwide Final Practice from Las Vegas is brought to you by Toyota and by freecreditscore.com. Get your score. Mark Martin and Kyle Busch quickest so far. There's Jason Leffler, who is third. Then Trevor Bayne, Danica Patrick, and Ryan Truex.
Pretty interesting. We heard you talking about Trevor Bayne. Here's a 38 car. Jason Leffler, third quickest. Ricky Stenhouse, second quickest in first practice. Jeff electing not to run. There's Trevor Bayne, but Ricky Stenhouse elected not to run this practice. A lot of that is, I think, still building the confidence level of Ricky Stenhouse. He finished the first practice at the top of the speed chart. A lot of confidence. Leave well enough alone. His last laps on the racetrack were fast, and they feel like they've got the right package they want.
Save those tires. If they got everything like they needed, I mean, that's the key. Is that again, he's second in the points. It seems like they've got a grip on what's going on. And on top of that, to me, as far as watching the car around the racetrack lap after lap, that 6 car, it looked pretty darn good. I mean, it was, you know, riding the bumps well. He was able to arc it off in the corner when he wanted to. So, I mean, all the little things, the little intangibles that looked like needed to be in that 6 car, well, at least they were showing up on television.
You know, and a young driver, if he's got that good feel, you come back out here and the track's changed or whatever, and he doesn't feel quite as good, then you go into the night, you know, with wondering what the mindset is. So if he's happy, let him sit out.
Denny Hamlin. What happened to Hamlin last time around?
I was watching him coming off turn 4 right there. I'm like, watch him as he exits turn 4. The car all of a sudden gets high, and the back end kicks out, and he's got his hands full, but he does a really good save right there off of turn 4.
He had just run a lap. That was the 3rd quickest of the session.
You know, people watching at home will say, wow, he's loose. But in fact, Denny Hamlin is tight.
Yeah,
right
he's
there.
pushing right there.
Yeah, he's
turn.
push. Then you get overturned off the corner. Then it snaps loose. That is caused from a car being too tight.
Now, Kyle Busch laid down the 2nd fastest lap of this session. Hamlin's teammate.
That's how much a little bit of change can mean, Jeff. You know, Denny had a car in front of him that he could see you losing air on the nose, and maybe that's one of the first times he's been in a little bit of traffic, and it is so crucial to be able to maintain that downforce in the front of the car, even when you're chasing the car, just like, you know, these cars are right here, is trying to, when you see that car in front of you, you need to be able to get the car to turn. You see Stephen Wallace falling in behind Kyle Busch there.
Kevin LePage coming out. He'd only run a few laps in the first practice, and I was reading on the internet last week he had his listed sponsor coming into the weekend is racedaysponsor.com. People are wondering what kind of a sponsor is racedaysponsor.com. Well, I would guess that's a website where you go to try to attract a sponsor. It's an advertisement. It's a lot better than putting a $ and the word wanted on the side of your car.
You got to be creative nowadays and try to figure out, you know, a different kind of like niche or a different area to kind of look to try to, you know, to get some new sponsor dollars. Again, you got to give a tip of the hat to Kevin LePage and his group for trying.
So you go to racedaysponsor.com and you find out what it takes to sponsor a car on race day.
We've all had people come up to us at different places and say, look, I don't have $100,000, but I've got a few dollars that I'd like to get myself affiliated with a team. How do I do that? So they're providing this kind of an outlet to give you a chance to get involved.
And the economics of this sport today are such that if you could come up with, let's say, a set of tires to help out one of these teams, they'd find you a space on the car. It might be a small space, but there are teams that need sponsors and deals to be made.
Pennies make dollars.
Yes.
That's the main thing about it. You take a look right there at the end. We keep talking about this wind. You can see it gusting down there around the, you know, not only in the garage area, the neon garage you're talking about, but you see it out through the infield. These flags, I mean, it's dancing today, and that's exactly what you're feeling around this racetrack. And if it's going across the nose one moment, it may be making front downforce, and next thing you know, you make a turn, and all of a sudden it's got the back end loose or shoving you up the racetrack. So again, a big challenge for these drivers to differentiate between track conditions and wind conditions.
Mark Martin, did he fib to us? He's back out there. Oh well, so much for one run and done, but Mark is fastest. It's race time at Walmart. From official gear to snacks for race day, you'll find everything you need. So gear up, stock up, save. Tough break for Joe Nemechek. He'd picked up some associate sponsor backing from Sin City Motorsports. And here's what happened in turn 2.
Oh, you see that thing hit the bumps and the back end started bouncing on an 87 car, and away it went.
You talked about it, Jeff, and the story of this practice session has been 1 and 2. All the bumps you can see coming right across the bumps across the tunnel. He's loose before he ever gets to the center of the corner.
This is a hard lick too, guys. I mean, that 87 really went up and hit that outside wall pretty hard, even though he's able to drive it back to the garage area. I don't know if they can affect the pairs or not.
Now, the plan had been for Kevin Conway, there's Kevin having a look over what's going on there, to drive a second car for Joe Nemechek and start this race tomorrow. However, if that second car was brought here as Joe's backup car, that may force a change in strategy.
You can see the look of disgust right there for Joe Nemechek. He doesn't crash a lot of race cars like this. Very good race car driver. But that just goes to show you, these guys make it look easy, Jeff, but these things are on edge all the time to get that kind of speed out of them.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see, you know, if we can get a moment, maybe get a word with him to find out, you know, if it was all the bumps or did the wind, because again, the wind is blowing across 1 and 2 right now. Did it help kind of like get the car upset and create this problem for Joe Nemechek?
All right, well, we'll let things cool down a bit under the hood and under the collar and let them assess the damage while we take this break from Las Vegas. You're looking at the speed stage where tonight the biggest party in NASCAR lights up Las Vegas. Handsome Harry Gant, hometown hero Kurt Busch, they all join the fun. NASCAR trackside from Vegas tonight, 8:30 Eastern, only on Speed.
It's going to be interesting. I want to see Harry Gant and Darrell Waltrip go at it like they used to on the racetrack.
Like they used to?
Yeah.
My goodness. All right, Bob Dillner's caught up with Joe.
Joe Nemechek trying to assess the damage on the 87 cars. He talks to the NASCAR officials. Joe, first of all, what happened on the racetrack?
Man, it just one of those quick snap loose, trying to slide through it, not hit anything, but it backed up in the fence. Just trying to run wide open here, and it's kind of crazy. You know, we've been trying to get riding through the bumps a little bit better, and it just hit one of those bumps and jumped sideways on us.
You got 2 cars in the field. I know you're looking at this car trying to assess the damage. What is the plan from here on out with Kevin Conway's car in this one?
Don't know yet. We're trying to figure that out.
All right, Joe Nemechek trying to look at the damage here. And guys, NASCAR officials are down here taking a look at it. It's pretty wrecked, but Kevin Conway told me that, you know, he expects Joe to possibly hop in that number 97 car.
In which case, I guess they'd renumber it 87 and return it to its role as Joe's backup. That would be a tough break for Conway.
Well, Joe's not only a driver, he's a car builder. He knows how to work on these cars, and again, he and his crew are pretty good at assessing and you know, maybe fixing the damage here. So I'm sure that's what they're trying to come up with right now is, can it be fixed, and if so, what do we need to do? Because there are some race shops right across from the racetrack that may have frame straighteners and some, you know, big torches and welders and porta powers that they need.
Well, it's one thing, as we saw a lot last week, to tape the deck lid on and run a few laps with a car that's been hurt during the race. NASCAR won't let you bring a car to the starting line that way. However, here is Eric Almirola. Dick, he is 11th fastest.
Yeah, and he's not at all happy with his race car, Mike. This is his maiden voyage to Las Vegas Speedway in this division, and it has just been a struggle. The car simply won't turn. Before this practice session, they changed the front springs in the car, adjusted the geometry. They've just put a new left rear spring in it, and Almirola is looking for speed in this car that's owned by Dale Earnhardt Jr.
14th quickest at the moment.
Well, Mike, I was watching that 20 car Denny Hamlin, the 88 of Almirola right there coming around through traffic, and they run up on the 62 up off of turn 2 right there, and I thought for a minute we were going to have the big one because the 40 and the 62,
yes,
they really weren't up to speed, and these other 2 guys, they were coming like a house of fire.
But they moved aside and out of the way.
Like I say, hold your line. Just hold your line and let them get their way around you.
Michael Annett in the 62.
We've got a lot of race cars here on the racetrack in this practice session. All, I guess, trying to figure out whether these bumps are in the wind. How do we, you know, get back balanced and ready to go for tomorrow?
Now, looking at Annett's car, if you spend a lot of time on America's highways, you see those Flying J truck stops and the pilot travel centers. And I always thought that they were direct competitors, but they're 2 companies that are both headquartered in Knoxville, Tennessee, and under the same ownership, under the same umbrella, kind of like ExxonMobil on a smaller scale, if you will.
Our truck stop, we have a truck stop in the family, and we just converted the fuel islands to pallet, and a lot of trucks on the road, you know, have those fueling cars with pallet and Flying J. So it's really picked up the traffic there in Emporia. But you're right, sometimes you don't know what companies are working together.
Yeah.
You see different names on signs, and
right,
you don't really know that they're really working together.
Mike, we're looking at the 99 car right there, Ryan Truex now. He's currently like 11th quickest right now, and the thing was, earlier I saw his brother Martin down on top of the transporter, you know, watching his brother. Again, whenever Ryan's on the racetrack, Martin is always, I think, there to try to help coach him and see what he's doing, so which is a big benefit for this young driver.
Bob?
And guys, in the first practice session, he was not happy with his race car at all. So Martin Truex Jr., his brother, like you said, really trying to coach him through this practice session. And here's the story of the 99. You can see Martin up there on the hauler right now with the Napa uniform. But the story of this car is they came here and they were coil binding, but it didn't get over the bumps the way Ryan wanted to in that race car. So basically what they did is they went to a conventional setup on the left front of that race car. But he didn't like that either. So in the interim between practice sessions, they're back to a coil binding setup, and they changed some geometry on the front end. And Martin's really been coaching them how to get through those bumps. And now, finally, Ryan says the car will cut down over those bumps the way they want. Now they're just trying to perfect it. You can see the hand language up there between Martin and the team to talk about what that car is doing on the racetrack.
Mike Bliss made a couple of runs in the first practice. Right now his position matches his car number, 19. Lots more action to come on Stratosphere Pole Day here at Vegas. Tomorrow the Rolex Sports Car Series thunders into South Florida for the second race of the season. Don't miss it, live from Homestead tomorrow at noon Eastern. Only on Speed. Look at the city of Las Vegas, just south of the Speedway, about 15 minutes by car, a lot less by helicopter, and a lot more by cost.
Yeah, a considerable amount.
That's okay.
Amount. Yeah, it is. It's a good ride, but today I'm not too sure I want to be flying in a helicopter the way the wind's gusting around. Looking at Brett Rowe right there in the 55 car, team car to Morgan Shepherd.
The Imperial Bedding Chevrolet for the West Virginia driver. And carrying Salvation Army on the hood of that car. Nice gesture. .42 cars, it looks like, is going to be how many make it to the green. Again, depending on the Nemechek and Conway situation. Kevin Conway was slated to drive Joe Nemechek's car. Joe may need a backup car. Joe may need that backup to run the race with after crashing in this practice. Jeff Green, former series champion on track here, 26th quickest in this number 44. You know what he spent the offseason doing? Racing. He bought a Legends car, and he ran the Winter Heat Series on both the 5th mile oval outside the backstretch at Charlotte Motor Speedway and the little zoomy road course that runs through what we know as the Motor Coach lot in May and October. And I won't say he cleaned house, but he filled up his trophy room, put it that way.
Really?
Yeah. Running in the pro division and had fun doing it. His nephews run cars in those series.
So basically it's a family affair.
Absolutely.
Well,
both David and Mark's sons both race in Legends and Bandoleros.
Well, I'd be remiss without asking you, how about your son and your race team, Mike? How was that coming along for 2011?
Well, Scott finished Winter Heat with his last 3 races were a win and 2 seconds.
That's pretty impressive.
In beginner bandits, but now he moves up. And as Phil Parsons' son Stefan found, you know, Stefan was winning in beginners and he moved up and he goes, Dad, in the first race, he goes, Dad, why am I 9th? He goes, well, you're fishing in a deeper pond.
Exactly.
So it's all uphill from here. But he's having fun doing it, having a lot of fun.
That's a good thing.
Thanks.
That's a good thing. Wish him continued success. And
we hope so.
And Dad, don't pull too many hairs out, otherwise you look like Larry McReynolds.
Who's sitting right behind us. You saw Josh Wise, who is 27th in this session, and here is Elliott Sadler, who is 5th fastest. Now that car is doing a lot of rocking and rolling, Hermie, through turns 1 and 2. The car doesn't look comfortable, but I guess they've found a way to make it work, whether it looks good or not.
Yeah, and that's the same thing they fought all day yesterday, was trying to keep the speed in the car through the bumps and also keep it comfortable where, you know, he can stay in the accelerator. But they have definitely made some progress on the car since yesterday.
5th fastest for Sadler right now.
Shelby Howard in the 70 car.
let's get an update on Joe Nemechek's situation. Here's Bob.
And guys, this is a little bit of a confusing situation because the 97 car, which Kevin Conway, you see him playing with the belts right there, he was scheduled to run this car. It's already been through safety inspection, so I just spoke to Joe Nemechek, who is now hunting for a car in the garage area because it's been safety inspected. Joe tells me that he cannot take the 97 off this car and put an 87 on it. So right now, Joe Nemechek is actually in the garage area over here talking to Kevin Harvick. And Joe just came up to me and said, I need to find myself a car because I need to get in this race with the 87. So it looks like Kevin Conway will still run the 97 because Joe cannot pull that car and make it the 87 because it was safety inspected.
Oh, so Mr. Avis rented a car to Mr. Conway. Now he has to go see Mr. Hertz to get a car to drive. Oh my goodness. You can see the look on Kevin's face. It's a strange situation that once it's been inspected. Yeah, what? Well, that was my reaction. Once it was inspected as the 97, now it can't go back and be the 87 again. Wow.
There are certain rules that from time to time we all forget about that do exist within the rule book. And again, it brings up one that's kind of unique because you don't have this situation occur a lot where you've got both cars off the truck and all of a sudden your backup now needs to be your primary. So
we saw a nice gesture at Phoenix, you know, Dale Earnhardt Jr. giving a car to Jimmy Means, and we see this kind of stuff in the garage all the time. I hope Joe can get some kind of resolution of this. This is a long ways to travel and not be able to put the cars on the track that you want to put out there.
And they say Phoenix, wasn't that Daytona?
Daytona,
where,
exactly right. Yes,
Bobby Santos, you know, unfairly criticized, I thought, in some magazine articles, including Auto Week, where they didn't get to the end of the story. They said Santos crashed. They didn't say that the car wrecked because part of the steering gear was not properly bolted on.
So Dale Jr. gave those guys a car and said, don't just start it, race it.
Run it.
And you got to commend Dale Jr. for doing that.
Absolutely. For maybe a little simpler story, hopefully with a happier ending. Dick Berggren.
Well, we'll see how things work out tomorrow for Kyle Busch. Right now, he is out of the car, Mike, and his day is done. Happy with the car. Has given the crew the instructions that he would like to see things work out as they did last week in Phoenix, where he won the pole, led every lap, and wound up winning the race. Well, he has never won a Nationwide Series race here at his home track in Las Vegas. The big problem, running into things. The last 3 years, he's got 2 DNFs, and last year he finished 16th after bouncing it off the wall. This is a brand new car, and goal number 1 is to return it to victory lane with no dents whatsoever. Watch this guy in the race tomorrow. He'll be tough.
No doubt. Mark Martin, Kyle Busch topped the speed chart in final practice. Speed's coverage of NASCAR Nationwide Final Practice from Las Vegas is brought to you by eHarmony.com. eHarmony. Love begins here. Watching the number 40 of Scott Wimmer. Key Motorsports Chevrolet toured the track. And he is 22nd right now. Dick?
Well, Carl Edwards' car has been parked here for this entire practice session, Mike. I talked to him before the practice session began, and the theme here was that they really didn't want to run the car. What they wanted to do was to spend time getting the car exactly right for qualifying. All of these races in this series are impound races, which means once qualifying is done and over with, you can't touch the car. And you don't have a lot of time to work with it once that practice session is over. The car has to go back through inspection again. So these guys have decided the car is good enough. They're going to take Mark Martin's strategy of don't mess it up on the racetrack. Work on it instead in the garage. Get it just right for qualifying and for the race.
I'll tell you something we don't talk about enough. Not only how they perform on the racetrack, but these new Nationwide Series cars are some really good looking cars on the track. Get a lot of that, the front end and the back end, the brand identity. Here you see the Chevrolet Impala. You have Justin, you can see that car coming from all the way down the straightaway. You know it's a Chevrolet coming and you know it's a Chevrolet leaving. So great job from everybody involved, including the manufacturers, to put these cars out here that you can tell them apart.
Well, everyone realizes how critical to the success. Ooh, what is that in the sky? Is that a B2?
B2.
I'm sorry. It's just, man, that's beautiful.
Like a big,
coming
big,
towards us.
big bat right there coming at you right there. There it is. A little bit space age technology.
That is just wild. Now, I understand the shape of that plane was designed so that it could defeat radar and other means of identifying it from the ground or from other planes. That it's supposed to be close to radar and visible.
Yeah,
the stealth bomber, yeah, almost.
Again, we talked about it earlier in our first practice. A big war games going on out here at Nellis Air Force Base this week, and we were during our break we were visited by some the pilots from next door at Nellis, and they said there will be about almost 80 airplanes involved in the exercise later on this afternoon.
Here comes another one.
Yep,
just taking off. Okay, sorry. Back on the
they're flying
on the track.
They're flying on the racetrack and they're flying in the sky. A lot of things going on here at Las Vegas.
And as we look out at the front straightaway, as we look over turn 2, we're looking at the end of the takeoff runway at Nellis, where another B-2 bomber's lifted off, and we're watching Justin Allgaier, 30.672. He's almost as fast as this thing. He's 4th fastest right now. Wow, that's pretty. Pretty wild. And Bob with the continuing saga of the 87-97.
Well, Joe Nemechek is now in the nationwide hauler here in the garage area at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. And I just spoke to Joe and I said, hey, you were bargaining with Kevin Harvick there and Rick Corelli. Did you find yourself a ride? And he said, well, I don't know just yet. And the reason is this is because if Kevin Harvick needs a backup car, say he wrecks at the end of this practice session or tomorrow morning in qualifying, if the car that he pulled out for Joe Nemechek went and was safety inspected, well, guess what? Kevin Harvick would be out of luck and he wouldn't have a car for the race. So Joe Nemechek might not know if he can actually participate in the weekend's festivities here until at least after qualifying tomorrow.
Wow. I don't know. I might be fixing that primary car right now. Maybe they can get it looking like this.
That's right.
Sunday, the biggest pre-race show in NASCAR fires up in Las Vegas with Jimmy Johnson, Kurt Busch, and Tony Stewart live, and Rockstar Rutledge and Bad Brad has some fun in Sin City. Wow, how windy is it? Whatever that canopy was shading, it blew right over.
It's covering somebody's cook area that a lot of the teams put together as far as feeding one another.
It's off in the infield in the hospitality area there. Dick?
With Elliott Sadler, whose car was not good at all when this practice session started, but you're 5th quick on the board, so you guys found something.
We are. We're definitely making it better and better. We're definitely making gains. You know, this track's really rough in turn 1 and 2. I'm sure you guys have been documenting that, and we're just trying to get it to go over the bumps. And the better it go over the bumps, the faster you run. So we're working with that now, and we'll keep making gains on it. But very excited about this weekend. Got a brand new sponsor to the sport, Tap Out, who makes apparel like for UFC and MMA fighters. A very young demographic, a little bit different NASCAR, but they love how loyal our fans are. So it's cool to have them on board here this weekend in Vegas.
All right, thanks. Good luck in the race.
Thanks, Dick. You know, thinking about that program, I wonder if Brad took Rutledge down to Pawn Stars.
Try to pawn him off?
What would they give him?
You would have to ask that question, wouldn't you?
Could be a whole 30-minute episode. You never know. Reed Sorensen, 4th fastest in this session, which puts him right on top of his practice time from the earlier session when he was 11th.
You know, you got to give a tip of the hat to Turner Motorsports for what they've been able to put together. The group of drivers. You got Mark Martin in the 32 car, who's the fastest. Now you got Reed Sorensen, who's leading the points. He's 4th quickest in the 30. Justin Allgaier, he's 5th in the 31. I mean, they've got a very competitive group over there, and a lot of people are kind of looking at him thinking, you're going to buy into more. I mean, he bought all those teams and put all this stuff here together and made changes as far as manufacture, built all new cars. I mean, he took on a huge undertaking, but right now it looks like it's proven out. It really is looking solid, at least early in the season.
Oh, absolutely. Steve Turner took his truck team, bought Braun Racing, moved everybody up into that huge shop in Mooresville that began as Eel River Racing and was then Robert Yates and then Richard Petty Motorsports. Huge complex, a lot of cars, a lot of teams, doing well. Says he has no interest in going to Sprint Cup, no plans to go to Sprint Cup. And I'm wondering, we're seeing Mark Martin in one of his cars here for the first time. Are we looking at the post-Hendrick future for Mark Martin?
You never know. And again, you know, just like this weekend, they got Rexall in the car. That's a new look and a sponsor involved in the sport. So again, a lot of good things coming out of Turner Motorsports right now.
Nice to see a new team in the sport making things happen and having a very strong presence. That's a good sign. You think you and your buddies are fast with a wrench? Take on a team of pros and turn a junker into a beautifully restored car in 72 hours. Don't believe it's possible? Then you haven't seen Car Warriors. All new episode Wednesday at 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific. All new and only on Speed.
Hey, Mike, this might be something that may happen in less than 72 hours if they try to repair that car.
Trouble is, Joe doesn't have 72 hours. He's got barely 24 hours to get that car back together and get it raced, or to find himself a backup car. We've been noodling this out during practice as you watch Kevin Harvick. Joe went over to talk to Harvick about using one of his backup cars, and the problem would be the same one. If Kevin gives him his backup car and Joe sends it through safety inspection as the 87, then it's no longer available to Harvick as a backup 33. But we know that since Joe has, in NASCAR's terminology, attempted to compete, and he is locked into the field through owner points, that even after qualifying, we assume that he could present Harvick's backup car if it's not needed, get it through inspection, and put it on the starting line for the race as his number 87. Now, we'll try to get some clarification on that, but that seems like the logical procedure from this point.
In theory.
Yes. Whatever happened to EIRI? That little statement at the end of the rule book, except in rare instances, because this truly is a rare instance.
It really is. And again, you know, we'll just have to wait it out and see how the thing, whole scenario kind of unfolds.
So we're working to try and fill the field for tomorrow's Sam's Town 300. And with the latest wrinkle, here's Bob.
Well, here's the interesting thing. We have another entry in the field, actually, in the 03 car. It's a Robert Richardson car. Charles Lewandowski from New England will be actually getting in this car and taking some laps in practice here. I just spoke to Robert Richardson in the garage area. He said, hey, we have an opportunity to put another car in the field, and that's why we did that. We got the backup out and put Charles Lewandowski, who ran at Phoenix 1 week ago. So another car added to the field midway through this final practice.
Yeah, they got a little more work to do. Look at the number on the roof. Needs a little work.
And here on the back and on the front.
Oh, and the name over the door?
Yep.
Well, you know, time is precious. This practice session's going to end soon. They'll get that squared away.
Don't worry about the small stuff.
Right.
Don't worry about the small stuff.
Charles ran last week at Phoenix. And oh yeah, and put a yellow strip on the rear bumper.
Exactly.
As well. All right, the field's filling up. Dick?
Well, with most of the cars in my section of the garage sitting still as they're preparing them for qualifying later, this car, number 88, Eric Almirola, his crew is absolutely in a thrash. They have just changed the left front spring, the front anti-roll bar. These guys get the award today for the hardest working crew in the garage. He's still not fast.
He's about a tenth off of what he ran in the first session. Mark Martin, Kyle Busch, and the Gator are quickest. Download the free Speed app for your phone and keep speed at your fingertips. Fuel your passion for NASCAR between events with Speed on your phone. Latest stats, results, and news as soon as it's available. Download the app from iTunes or the Android market now. Welcome to As the Field Fills. Bob Dillner.
Well, Mike, Joe Nemechek has been just about everything in this practice session. A driver, a politician, and now a mechanic for Kevin Conway in this 97 machine. He's actually grabbed the wrenches and gone to work on this car down here as he awaits to see if he's going to be in the field for the nationwide race tomorrow. And honestly, we may not know until after qualifying, as you guys have pointed out. But right now, he's turned into Mr. Mechanic.
Well, I think we're pretty secure in the idea that Joe has attempted to compete, and he is locked into a top 35 spot. So it will really fall to whether he has to make an official qualifying attempt or not to be able to start the race. And I think attempting to compete is the requirement that has to be met. And again, we'll try to get some confirmation on that before we leave the air today.
But guys, how many times have you ever seen two drivers work on a race car at the same time? One may be the owner driver, another one just the driver. But here again, you talk about, you know, NEMCO Motorsports, not a big organization, and everybody has to pitch in and do what they can to make sure they maximize their time, get the work done on the vehicle to get them back out on the racetrack. So you see Kevin Conway right there taking the air cleaner off. And you see Joe in there, he's changed his spark plug. So, you know, a lot going on.
This is racing the way it used to be. Everybody worked on the car. Everybody from the hauler driver to the driver to the owner, everybody.
Well, this is probably what everybody sitting at home that races on Friday and Saturday night, weekend warriors, I want to call them. That's what they're used to doing. So this is not out of character for them. But when you look at you know, the nationwide series, you think, okay, they'd have this better handled. But hey, this is what happens sometimes when you can't afford the big budgets. You have to kind of like cut corners where you can, and that means every now and then you got to get your hands dirty.
Yeah, and there's probably nobody better in the garage area, either garage, at managing resources and making the most out of them than Joe Nemechek. Dick?
Well, Kevin Harvick is having a tough time here, Mike. Last year in this race, he not only led the most laps, he won the event, and that with some pit stops that were not the best. But today, David Hyder, who is crew chief, said that they simply cannot get the car through the bumps. He's only run 7 laps in this practice session, but has already left and gone over to his Cup car. They are going to be struggling when the race takes to the racetrack tomorrow in car 33.
As Dick points out, Sprint Cup practice follows this session. A lot of the double-duty drivers have already migrated over to the Sprint Cup garage.
A couple of drivers that are not struggling quite so much. Martin, Jeff, is running even a quicker lap his last time out, 30-24. And look at Reed Sorensen jumped up to second place, a 30-31 in that 30 car. So those guys are climbing the charts as well.
I like that of the top 5 in this practice, we're watching Denny Hamlin, who's ninth. But of the top 5, 3 of the top 5 are nationwide contenders. Reed Sorensen, Elliott Sadler, and Michael Annett. They are the drivers that we used to call the nationwide regulars to distinguish them from the Sprint Cup invaders, or what were formerly known as the bushwhackers.
Yep.
And when was this the NASCAR Busch Series? But the drivers who are racing for this nationwide title, we call them the contenders, as opposed to these drivers like Denny Hamlin, who are not eligible for driver championship points in this series.
What'd you call them at one time? Interlopers?
Something like that. Caution is out in Speed's presentation of NASCAR Nationwide Final Practice, brought to you in high definition by Funai. Fun and innovative. Experience more at FunaiAmerica.com. Danica Patrick has rolled into the garage area after bringing out this caution. Now she's 15th on the speed chart, but watch her entry into turn 1.
Yeah, Mike, she goes off in there and she makes a late arc down here to try to get to the bottom of the racetrack, and the car just never was underneath her. And again, it got away from her. She got down on the apron, but look at the great save right there. She didn't overcorrect, able to keep the car off the outside wall. I mean, and just, again, great car control.
Great job by her. I mean, it's like a lot of other things. It doesn't do it justice, but she gets off, getting in the corner, and the car just gets away from her. But a great job of not overcorrecting. And sometimes as drivers, you overcorrect too much, head on into the fence. Great job for saving that race car for Danica Patrick.
What did she say about it, Dick?
Well, she said it just came around on her, and then her mentor, Johnny Benson, said that the arc was perhaps a little bit too big for a lap of the speed she was trying to take it.
And again, Johnny's kind of like been her driving coach the last couple of weeks, and he's exactly right, Herman. When you go in there going that fast and you turn that car off, it just will, the yaw moment, it will not allow it to, you know, let the car settle and get back on 4 tires, and it will come around carrying that kind of speed. It's much like pitching it off into the corner on a dirt track. It's okay on a dirt track because you got a cushion, but not in these asphalt tracks.
And these cars are so much on the edge. They don't look like it, but we just saw Joe Nemechek, you know, same place on the racetrack, got away from him, and he wasn't able to correct it. So good job for Danica to bring it back to the garage so they can work on it and give her another shot.
Great session for Reed Sorensen. The Peachtree City, Georgia driver is second fastest, and we have a further update on Joe Nemechek from Bob.
The saga continues for Joe Nemechek here in the garage area. You're seeing the 97 car. We told you Joe Nemechek wouldn't be in there. Well, guess what? He's in the car, but it's only to help Kevin Conway, because Kevin took one run in this car, had some things that he didn't like, so Joe figured, hey, I'm just kind of knocking around right now, working on the front end of this machine, working on the spark plugs and so forth. Why don't I get in the car? So Joe said, I'm going to hop in, feel it out for Kevin, and see what he was feeling in the car while he awaits to see if he finds a car for him to ride in tomorrow's race.
Hermie, talk about this where you don't like the feel of the car and you want somebody else to see if they're feeling the same. Is that for validation of what you're feeling, or to see if they can find a different solution than the one that's being suggested?
It's all about validation right here. I mean, Kevin is telling Joe what the car's doing. The thing that's working against him is they don't have a lot of time. You know, Kevin, it's unfair to him to go to the racetrack for 1 or 2 laps and expect him to get the car up to speed. But Joe has already been on the racetrack a lot this weekend. It's Joe's car out of his shop. He knows the inner workings of the car, the front end, the geometry. And so he wants Joe to get in this car and say, hey, you see if you feel the same things that I'm feeling. And because you know the car's better than I do, maybe you can get it headed in the right direction quicker than I can.
Well, I give Kevin Conway a lot of credit for that, because a lot of fellows would say, let me run it some more and let's figure out how we deal with it. But right from the get-go, he's saying, Joe, see if you see the same thing I'm seeing.
What he's saying, and I respect him for this, is help.
Yes.
You know, give me some help. And that's like, you know, Danica Patrick looking to Johnny Benson for help. You know, any driver, you know what I'm saying, Hermie. You go sometimes your brother or whoever you're comfortable, you're looking for somebody to give you that little extra vote of encouragement, either how to fix it or that what your direction you're going in to fix it is the right way.
Bob?
The reason why it took so long for Joe Nemechek to get in this car, when Kevin took it out there, he felt like it was missing or something. There was just something wrong in the engine compartment. That's why they changed spark plugs. They fired it back up. He was A-OK. So Joe would have liked to have gotten back in it a long time ago, but they had to fix that problem. The interesting thing now here in the garage area of the 97 machine is the series director, Joe Balish, and he's talking to some Nemco representatives here to figure out exactly what's going to go on with Joe Nemechek here tomorrow.
Meanwhile, Scott Wimmer in the Key Motorsports Chevy.
And everybody thought that politics only happened in Washington, D.C. We got a lot of politicking going on down in the garage area right now about clarification of rules and what direction we're going to go in.
All right, Wimmer comes in. Charles Lewandowski goes back out to try to run a lap or two, hopefully with transponder this time. A lot of action on track and in the sky. Now, this is one of the enemy jets that will be used during the war games later this evening out of Nellis Air Force Base. Some 80 aircraft expected to participate. You know what? After qualifying, I'm going to stick around and watch the show. So Joe Nemechek is on track in this 97 to sort it out for Kevin Conway. And the way we understand the ruling is this: Joe has been on track. He has attempted to compete by making a lap at what NASCAR determines reasonable speed. Joe is locked into the field for Saturday's race. He does not have to make a qualifying attempt. So whatever car they decide to number 87, as long as that's done by tomorrow morning and that car is submitted for inspection as the 87, Joe will be able to start the race with it and try to maintain his position in the point standings. Kevin Conway will drive this number 97 that Joe has just taken 2 exploratory laps in and found a lot of bouncing around with it.
Yeah, that car needs some work. You can see the front end of that car bouncing uncontrollably in the front end, but Danica Patrick back on the track. Jeff, good for her to get back on this racetrack and get some good, you know, solid laps under her. She don't want to end this practice session like she did in turn 1 a little while ago.
No, I'd like to kind of have an opportunity to kind of rewind the tape and do it one more time. And again, they were able to change things around. And guys, she came right back out there and put down a really nice lap, moves up a little bit, up to 14th quickest at a 30.91. So guess what? That little slide for life, it didn't scare her one bit.
Nope. Red and black flags are out. That ends this session. Chevrolet has won this practice with Mark Martin, Elliott Sadler, and Reed Sorensen. These cars will qualify and race tomorrow. And Joe Nemechek, our understanding is, will get to race in the Samstown 300 tomorrow. We have Sprint Cup practice coming up a little later on, and later Sprint Cup qualifying. Right now we're going to turn you over to our favorite jet jockey, or is it desk jockey? We'll find out shortly from John Roberts.
Mike, thanks a lot. Things are getting busy down here in the Neon Garage, but we have to clear up one misconception. You know, people say that we have it easy on TV, that we don't have to work hard. Well, let me tell you something. This is a very difficult job. This is not glamorous. Kelly and Jenny have come by now to help me out through this this bit of the program we're going to do today. So I tell you, it's just not glamorous. It's just dangerous. So if you guys want to break this, you can certainly welcome to. Let's take a look at the menu, see what's coming up today. There's a lot going on speed, and we are just getting our engines fired up today. Hey, what are you guys doing later? Where are you going? Shoot. Sprint Cup Series practice at 3 o'clock Eastern Time, NASCAR Live at 4:30, and then the day remembering Dale Earnhardt at 5 o'clock Eastern Time, NASCAR Live at 6 Eastern. And then there is still more programming coming your way on speed as the night goes on. It is Sprint Cup Series qualifying at 6:30. Trackside presented by Walmart features Harry Gant and Kurt Busch. And then Speed Center wraps up the entire world of motorsports at 9:30. Now, a lot of guys have had some bad luck so far this year, not like the good luck we're having out here at Vegas so far. Let's go to Wendy Venturini, who's standing by with one guy who wants to turn around his luck here in Vegas.
Clint Boyer comes into Vegas 21st in points. I know you really want to turn things around this third race of the season. What can we expect in this practice session?
Well, hopefully do just that. You know, we got to get things turned back around. It's been too, just really, you know, good cars, very frustrating runs. We've had good cars and get caught up in 2 wrecks first 2 weeks of the season. It's just tough. You know, it's so important to get the year started off right, and you know, unfortunately we haven't. Got a little bit of a hole to dig ourselves out of, but a good run here at Las Vegas will do just that.
Describe this racetrack and the bumps. We had a smooth Daytona, a pretty smooth Phoenix, and we come here, it's a little bit bumpy at Vegas.
Yeah, it is, but you know, it's the same for everybody. You got to be able to bounce through those bumps better than the rest, and if you can do that, you just might have a shot at winning.
What can we expect out of this weekend's race?
Hopefully just, you know, an awesome race. We're in Las Vegas, you know, you got to gamble, and hopefully the cards will be in our favor.
All right, Clint Boyer looking for that luck this weekend in Vegas.
One good thing about that, Wendy, he definitely has a good attitude about it. Their cars have been fast for Richard Childress Racing so far, but they just don't have the results so far to go with it. Let's take a look at some of the drivers who are still looking for Lady Luck to turn on their side. There's Boyer, 21st in points right now. If you take a look at the right side of the screen, in 2010, after 2 races, Clint Boyer was 2nd in points. His teammate Kevin Harvick was 1st. Now they find themselves 21st and 22nd. Kenseth, McMurray, and Biffle, of course, these guys were way up on points after 2 races. Jamie McMurray starting off the season with that Daytona 500 victory. Big turn in fortune right now for Joey Logano, but look to that team to turn around, as will David Rudiman, Jeff Burton, and Brian Vickers is very happy to be back at the racetrack after missing some races last year, but still needs to have that reversal in fortune right now so he can get back on the positive side of things when it comes to points. Let's go for some final thoughts now with Wendy Venturini. Wendy?
Thanks, John. One of my favorite parts about Las Vegas Motor Speedway is this neon garage. Not only does it get you close to the noise and the action, these fans up top, check this out on the Neon Garage. They have full access to hear what's going on in the garage area. They're waving, they're taking photos of the drivers. The drivers have just made their way into the race cars. This is when action is finally picking up in the garage area, and they are stoked here in Las Vegas. Another part of Vegas that's pretty cool is a lot of our drivers, Johnny, bring their families out here. A lot of the crew members have their wives, significant others here this week. So I've seen a lot of family members this week in Vegas roaming around, and it's good to have everyone out west for this 2-week swing. A lot of the people stayed out here, so that's something different we don't usually see here at Las Vegas. But I'm looking forward to this weekend, and it's even a little bit breezy. It's a nice and windy day here.
So Wendy, so far out here in the Neon Garage, we've seen an Elvis impersonator, a Carrie Underwood impersonator, Big and Rich impersonators. Have you seen any impersonators in there, or are they all the real thing?
Yeah, I saw a John Roberts impersonator. He's in the Neon Garage. Have you seen him?
Imposter, I think is the correct word. Wendy, thanks a lot. Another good thing about this weekend here in Vegas, there is a lot going on in and around the racetrack, but the weather is cooperating with us in a big way. We're going to have temperatures near 70 or in the 70s for the rest of this weekend. So if you're a NASCAR fan and anywhere around the area, come on down to the Las Vegas Motor Speedway and join us. There are still tickets available. The Nationwide Series and the Sprint Cup Series are going to pack the house here at Vegas. It's going to be a great show. Fast racetrack. Great scenery on the racetrack, on and off, and also a lot of fun here in the Neon Garage. So right now we are going to turn our attention to the Sprint Cup Series, who is getting ready to take this very fast racetrack out here at Vegas, deal with some of the bumps Clint Boyer was talking about, but also have their day in the sun as we have qualifying later on, and we got you covered all day long on speed. But right now, coming up next, NASCAR Sprint Cup Series practice from the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Stay with us.